Things I don't like about the Switch 2. Now, obviously, I'm happy generally with the Switch 2. Very impressed with the technology, with the build quality, and with the games available at the moment. But there are some things that are nagging, and some things that I think that has followed it from the Switch 1 that they haven't really improved on or worked upon. First one is the back panel of the Switch 2 dock. Now, this part has always been the weakest part of the Switch, and now it's the same thing for the Switch 2 because it's just a flimsy bit of plastic that is made to be removed so you can put in the HDMI cable and the power adapter, right? But what will happen is that unless your dock is constantly plugged in the same position, normally this piece of plastic will just be laying around, right? Because it's inconvenient, it's in the way of the ports. I don't know why they didn't just put their port on the outside like a normal piece of equipment rather than encasing it within this sort of clamshell partition on the back. So, this is one aspect where Nintendo could have improved upon. I think also the Pro Controller, while I really do love the design of this Pro Controller, I think the coloring is good, the feel is good, it has this matte textury feel, and the inclusion of the G, L and GR buttons are good. But what I find is that with the placing of the C button, sometimes I accidentally press it. I noticed this when I'm playing Street Fighter. When you're trying to do those Hadouken movements, it's very easy for your thumb to slip out and press the C button. And when you press the C button, that is basically pausing the game. And I think online, you're just going to get, it doesn't obviously pause for the opponent, so it's going to make you prone to lose. So I think the position of the C button isn't really good, and now upon closer inspection it doesn't even look like it's perfectly aligned or centralized with the D-pad and the right analog stick. I think they could have placed it in a better position, maybe below the B button on the right, because you're not really going to be always pressing this button. It's too close to the D-pad in my opinion. Speaking about the screen, it's understandable why they won't release an OLED for launch. I'll get the business practice of, refreshing the product maybe 4 years down the line or something like that. But the screen still has the type of bezels that the Switch 1 had, which I don't really like. I think they could have at least improved upon having a bezel-less screen, and it makes the screen look, even though it's generally high quality, it makes it look a bit archaic and old-fashioned with these kind of bezels. And I hate it if Nintendo actually did it by purpose just to promote a future OLED edition that becomes bezel-less. I think that would be bad practice if they did do that. And I think lastly, also the Joy-Cons. While they're nice and big, I've got big, beefy hands, so I appreciate the height of the new Joy-Cons. To be fair, it really feels good. When you put it in a Joy-Con grip as well, it feels like a better controller, or a good controller to have outside the Pro Controller. But it's still not as ergonomic as I think it could have been, as in the backs are still quite flush. They don't really allow for a grip in your hands, they're not easy to play with. And I understand they've got the Pro Controller for that, so again, it's business savviness. But many people are going to be playing this handheld, and I've heard many people find it uncomfortable to play it with this form factor. So I think really they could have added a few grooves, some contours, just to make it slightly user-friendly when playing as a handheld. But again, generally I think the Switch 2 has a great build, nice colouring. The colouring is kind of reminiscent, in my opinion, of the N64. That kind of greyish, dark bluish kind of hint. And I like the subtleness now of the blue and red colouring. Right, it's not as bold as the original Switch. It gives an air of maturity about it, But what do you guys think? What do you dislike about the Switch 2? Please don't comment about pricing because I'm tired of that. But let me know your thoughts nevertheless in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one.